It's man like Dan. Come on, welcome, Melanated and Proud. Today, we have a man who went from having financial issues to becoming a finance manager. He's a husband, a family man with baby number 2 on the way. He's a nice guy, he's a black man with a beard. Let's welcome the man himself, Martin.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, Dan. Thank you.
So, can you let us know where you're from?
So, I am, nationality-wise, I'm Ghanaian. Come on, GH all day. I live in Bushey, which is in Watford. So just in, Greater London. Been here for about 3 or 4 years now. It's me and my family, man. So yeah, it's all good.
What was the upbringing like for you?
My upbringing was cool, man. So I lived in Colindale for most of my life. My mum, my dad, and I'm the youngest of 3. So I've got an older sister and an older brother as well. My brother's 10 years. Yeah, so my brother's 10 years older than me and my sister's 12 years older than me. So so I just grew up with them. Nice house, wasn't particularly like struggle or anything like that. It was a pretty average sort of upbringing. My mum worked pretty hard. My dad was a barrister before, and my mum worked in catering. And she had a couple other jobs on the go here and there. She worked really hard doing nights and stuff like that. And it was happy, man. It was a happy upbringing, can't lie.
That's good, man. So you already got like a nice sort of foundation, would you say? And the fact that your dad was a barrister, would you say that kind of motivated you to believe that you can actually achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve? Yeah,
definitely. Like most African sort of parents tend to do, they always want you to go down a certain path and be in a certain role and all of that kind of stuff. So my dad tried to, show me that, you can go down this barrister route or go down the law route and all of that kind of stuff. I didn't end up going that route, but it still laid, those foundations in terms of me wanting to be successful and based on what he was doing and how my mum used to work so hard as well. So even though it wasn't the path I went down, it really did set the foundation for what I wanted my life to look like when I became older. So yeah.
Well, by that time, what path did you want to go on?
You know what's funny is that I didn't know. And again, probably like a few people, I think when you get to a certain stage, so I did the uni thing, did business, did computer science there. And when I came out, I still wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Even though I chose those subjects, I wasn't sure exactly in what path I wanted to sort of go down. So it was just one of those things where it was just a lot of soul searching and just a lot of looking online, maybe seeing what other people are doing, friends and family, and seeing what kind of things they're doing and trying to find my niche and what I can try and get into and be successful at. So yeah, it wasn't an overnight thing. And I think even though uni is supposed to, I guess, guide you in that way, I don't think it does it for everyone, if that makes sense. Some people know exactly what they want to do. It's like, okay, I'm going to go do law. You want to, be a lawyer or a barrister or whatever, or, a doctorate in, whether it's medicine or whatever. But I didn't really have a path. I was just a bit all over the place kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? But it just, life and experiences gets you to that point where you feel what you want to do.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. So basically what you're saying is it's okay to be lost as well at times.
100%. I think everyone has to be sort of lost a little bit, just so that you can look back, and when you do find your path, you can look back and go, okay, yeah, I was lost then, but I know where I'm going now, sort of thing. Because I don't feel as though everyone has that knowledge to know exactly what they want to do as soon as they come out of uni or college. Some people don't even do the uni thing because it's not for them, so they just find it out later. Do you see what I'm saying? So I think everyone has to go through that, so you know what you want to do.
And so how was education like for you?
So I went to all boys as my brother went to the same school, so that was Christ College in Finchley. So my brother went there, like a couple of my cousins went there, and I went there as well. And it was just a good time, man. It was just a good fun time. Made a lot of friends there. Just like doing the popular thing, having fun. I was kind of the class clown a little bit, do you know what I mean? But still knew that education was important because my dad wasn't going to have it, do you know what I mean? So like secondary school was all blessed and stuff. So I went to the sixth form, and I was part of that school, and they just started introducing like girls into it as well. So it was always just boys only. So I got into that, and then I kind of, I guess, grew there as well from that standpoint. And just before I went into college or sixth form as well, I went to Ghana that summer. So and what it was as well was that my dad had stayed, and I'd gone with my sister, my brother, my dad, and my dad had stayed, and he was the one that was getting my GCSE results whilst I was out there. So
That's tense, that.
as you can imagine, it was like, boy, obviously I'm nervous, like, you know, like getting my results, nervous at any time. But this was a thing where he, like, obviously whilst I'm out there, he'd gone to get them for me. He calls me, then I have to put the phone on loudspeaker to the rest of my family to then reel off what I got in my GCSEs. So as you can imagine, I'm nervous, like, I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be mad. So he's just there saying, I'm trying to remember, he was like, oh, geography, A. I was like, oh god. There's like history, A. You know, design and technology, A. Maths, B. Like he just kept saying it. I was like, oh man. So luckily, like, it was all right. Like the grades were cool. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, it's just like a relief. Do you know what I mean? Especially when it's in front of family and stuff. But specifically my dad, because it's like dads are always really like, you know, education is always a thing. So yeah, so that was all good, man. And then came back, did the college thing, went to uni, and just it was nice, man. It was overall it was just a good experience. I went to Hertfordshire University, so I did computer science and business at Hertfordshire. So I went there, and you know, at that time they give you like a credit card, then they give you an overdraft and all that. So overdraft was like £1,500, and then the credit card was like £1,000. So I maxed it out for like those 3 years, and I come out. Obviously, I'm looking for a job, can't really find anything, so I'm struggling these times or whatever, and I still have that to pay. So what starts to happen is I start to get like letters and stuff through the door saying, "Oh yeah, you need to pay," because I hadn't paid it. I just left it. And being honest with myself, I just kind of and that's kind of it. Just went from there, man. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, so that was the kind of story from that. So yeah, money was one of those things, and for most students as well. It's not even my story isn't particularly different. That was the case for probably a lot of people, but I just buried my head in the sand a lot. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it seems like it was worth it, man. Did you say university was worth it?
I think for the experience of going, yeah, I do. I think you gain a lot of life experience from going to uni, because it's a thing of now because I didn't live at home, so I lived in dorms for the first year, and then in the second and third year I lived with like 3 of my friends from uni and stuff in our own place. And I think that whole experience just teaches you about independence and not having to rely on your parents for certain things, and you just finding yourself as a person. So I think from that standpoint it was definitely worth it. Obviously it's pretty expensive in terms of going to uni. You have to think of, you know, the repercussions in terms of how much you're borrowing and all that kind of stuff. That part I'm not too sure of, you know what I mean, because it's so expensive, and even though it comes out of your salary later and all that kind of stuff, it does make a difference. And uni's not for everyone, but I wouldn't have changed it. I definitely still would have gone regardless, just for that experience. And I recommend anyone to do that as well, if they feel it's for them.
And so how was life after uni?
Life after uni was tough, man. So so I went back home, obviously done the graduation thing, all of that, and then it was just a matter of trying to find something, man. So what I did was I was just obviously looking for roles. All I sort of found was sort of apprenticeships and stuff. So what I did like 3-month apprenticeship, a marketing apprenticeship, just at like a publisher's place, so not far from where I lived. So I did that for like 3 months. And then I worked for TalkTalk, you know, the broadband and telephone company. So I worked in sales for them for a year. So that was tough. Like, sales is something that I'm just like, it's either you can do sales or you can't, sort of thing. And but it was I just needed to, you know, get some money coming in. Even though I was still living at home, I still needed to get some money coming in, because it was just like, the money wasn't really looking too good at that point. So I did that for like a year, and then became redundant like after a year, because they were disbanding completely. So there was a couple of months where I was like, I don't really know what I'm going to do. Like, things are looking a bit mad right now. But I did that, and then I started working for another, like a broadband company called UW. So I ended up being there for 7.5 years, so quite a while. And that was just helping. They have like a department of like sales guys that go out and sell like the products and stuff. So I was just the support, or part of a team of support for them. They were called partners.
In a way, you're still not working in the field that you wanted to all that time as well. So.
That's the thing. Like, you know, you do a certain degree and you think, oh yeah, this is going to get me to this kind of point and whatever. But nah, it wasn't the case. I was in a job that had no correlation to what I did at uni, like, at all, really. Do you know what I mean?
That's mad though. That's mad. Where was your head at?
Well, I think so. Bearing in mind I'm early 20s around this time, so it's kind of straightforward. It's pretty easy. The job's not particularly difficult. So for the first few years, it was all good. It was just like, yeah, this is cool. I can do this. It's not a thing. Cool. But once you start getting to a certain point, And you start going, there has to be more than this. Do you know what I mean? It was I wasn't challenged. I wasn't particularly inspired by the job either as well. I was like, I've gone uni, I've got this degree and I'm here and I'm doing this job that I can do, but there's no fire or passion in what I'm doing. You see what I'm saying? So I went for like a couple of internal, I got like promoted to like a senior advisor there and stuff like that. I tried to go for a couple of other jobs like in other departments, which I didn't get, but it's still a good experience to do anyway. And I was just like, I think I just got to a point where I was just like, got to try and do something and get out of this kind of rut, because this ain't it, man. It's not the one for me, sort of thing. So I started looking around like other jobs, like externally, like outside of the company and stuff. Went for a few interviews, didn't get them, all of that kind of stuff. And then one came up for like another energy company. And that's the thing, I think what tends to happen is when you're in a role, especially for so long, 7 years is a long time, you get comfortable, and you get comfortable with the amount of money that you're making as well. It wasn't super great or anything, it was pretty standard, but for what it was good. So I was like, yeah, this is so easy, but I was like, nah. So this other job that I got afterwards was a little bit less salary wise, so I was going back a little bit salary wise, but I felt career wise I could get a bit further if I left. After doing the 7.5 years, I left, went to it's another energy company. I wasn't there for very long. I was only there for 6 months. And what I'd sort of said to myself was that because I'd gotten so comfortable in that first job of being there for 7 years, I didn't want to make that same mistake again, you know, if I went to another role. So I promised myself, I said, okay, if I go into something else and I know that after a set period of time, I don't feel like this is for me, I have to leave, rather than just do another 7 years at another company and feel like I'm wasting my time again. Yeah. Because that's it got into that point in the last few years where it was just stagnant. There was nothing happening, and I just said to myself, I can't let that happen again. I just can't. So went to this other role, learned a few things. It was cool, but once it got to like month 5, I was like, yeah, this isn't it. Like, this is not the one, sort of thing. So I started looking again. I'd gone from 7 years to 5 months and going, nah. Do you know what I mean? I said to myself, I can't do it. And that's what I recommend to anyone. Like, you have to, don't just get into something and then just be like, and just settle for it, because it's so easy to do. It's the comfortable thing to do. People prefer to do things that are comfortable, and they're just like, yeah, I'm just gonna chill. Next thing you know, you're then there for 10 years, and you'll look back and be like, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? Do you know what I mean? And I didn't want to have that regret. So when it got to month 5, as I said, I started looking. Went through a few interviews again, didn't get some. And then went for this other one, and then I got it as my current role now, of which I've been in for over 3 years as a finance manager. So yeah, so I left that one, and since then I haven't looked back, man. Like, the amount of stuff that I've learned at my current role is just invaluable. It's demanding, it's tough. I work long hours, like sometimes I'm working on weekends, all of that kind of stuff, but the amount of stuff that I've learned in terms of when that time comes for me to get a promotion or move somewhere else is invaluable, man. And it's all because I just said I need to move on and challenge myself. And every day it's a challenge, every single day.
That is mad, because like, you was in a place for 7 years. That's a long time. It's like year 7 to what, year 13. That's the whole.
That's it. That's a long time.
That's theirs. And all this time, it's not within your field still. And so like, you still don't know what you want to do.
Yeah.
What kept you going?
What kept me going? I think it was that motivation of how I'd had issues with money in the past, and my relationship with money in the past, and how I didn't want to be at that point, back in the day of when I was at uni and just struggling. I didn't want to have that thing of struggling. And I think so it was that, coupled with the fact that this probably goes back more to sort of my parents and stuff. After a certain point, when my dad had been a barrister, which was more like back home in Ghana and stuff, when we came over here, he came away from the barrister work, and then it was my mum that took on more of the mantle of working long hours. And that kind of thing sort of stayed with me, insofar as I was kind of like, no like disrespect to my dad or anything like that, but I didn't want to be that. I wanted to be like a strong man, strong person, strong black person for whoever, my significant other and my future kids were gonna be. I know and that was me young thinking that. Obviously I didn't, my early 20s, I wasn't necessarily thinking about, oh yeah, I want to settle down and all that stuff, but it always stayed in my mind because of my upbringing. So I always wanted to be that guy, to be the provider and make sure that I can look after not just myself but others as well, without them having to struggle. So that kind of thing sort of stayed with me, and when you have things like that and certain motivations like that, it makes you go, okay, I need to work harder and do this so that I can achieve that, because it's not it's not an easy, thing to do. It does take a lot of dedication, and it's all the same kind of things, the hard work and all of that kind of stuff. And it's very cliche, but it is true at the same time. So those kind of things kind of stayed with me to go, I need to try and get to a point where I can really excel. And with that as well were my siblings as well. So my brother, when he first started working, he started at Barclays, and then he's gone on to do like every other bank. He's a business analyst he's done it for multiple banks, like on a sort of self-employed, and he's super successful. And my sister, she works at NatWest, like in sales and stuff like that. So when you've got those kind of things around you, and like a couple of my friends doing certain things like accountants, and one of my best friends is an IT manager, like all of these kind of things, they kind of make you go, okay, well, I got to step up, I got to do better as well, so that I can make sure that I'm sitting in the right circles and not just sitting there not doing anything. Do you know what I mean? Because I can't blame anyone else for where I get to or don't get to. It's gonna have to come down to me. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Would you say that you believe in the whole notion that you become a product of your environment?
100%. I think if you're around certain people, they're gonna be a reflection of you, and vice versa. So if you've got people around you that are doing certain movements and really excelling in what they're doing and all of that kind of stuff, that's going to rub off on you. And it goes the other way. If they're just sitting around, not really doing very much and just like, whatever, that might rub off on you as well. Ultimately, it's still down to you, but your environment definitely plays a part. And that's friends, that's family, that's the colleagues that you work with as well. All of those kind of things, you get experiences from all those different people. And it's so important you take on those things, and then you manifest it, and then you use it to learn and grow as a person. So I think it's definitely plays a factor. Yeah,
you just kept persisting, man. You kept persisting. Like, obviously your family had a big role in that as well, but I feel like your mindset is just strong as well. So many people would have given up in your situation, but at the current time when you're maxing out cards, you wouldn't have thought you were in the position where you are now.
Never. Why would I? Because I'm thinking I'm super broke right now. I'm trying to ask my mum, and pride would always kick in as well. So I'm there like, I know I need money, but I don't want to ask my mum for it, sort of thing. I need like £10 just to, do you know what I mean? Maybe go and see some friends or whatever, but I'm too prideful. I don't want to do that. So those are the kind of feelings I was like, I don't ever want to feel that. I never want to feel that, or I never want to feel dependent on someone else. So that was the thing. I was just like, I don't want to have to depend on my mum or my dad or my brother or my sister or anyone who becomes my girlfriend or my wife ever. I just said to myself, that can never run for me. Do you know what I mean? It's just not going to sit well with me. So if it means I'm going to have to grind and do whatever I need to do to get to where I need to get to, then I have to do it. I don't have a choice. And it just becomes normal. And I think in the job that I'm in now, because it's so demanding, every day there's always something, and it's always, so challenging. I feel like whatever I move on to after this, I'll feel more prepared, because it's been so difficult that I'm like, well, I'm prepared for it, because I've been through that. You have to go through like those hard times for it to become a bit more comfortable later. But it's a process. Do you know what I mean? I still consider myself to be a young man, so I've still got so many years of growing to do. So
you do, man.
Yeah, man.
Literally, my heart's gone boom, like. I just feel that inspired. Like, this guy, it's like you're doing your presidential speech, man. But yeah, you're inspirational, man. Like, it's good that you've gone through that stuff, because obviously it shaped you, innit? And more to come for you, 100%, man. Like, yeah, more money, fruitful in every area of your life. Yeah, everything will come, man. But what I'm getting from you is the mindset is very key. The mindset is very key.
Yeah,
and so
100%.
I want to ask you, do you feel like us black people, especially in the UK, have lost the essence of family?
That's a good question. I think a little bit. Yes and no. I guess it's going to depend on many different things, what your upbringing was, but things like social media, for example, I think plays a big part in that as well. I think nowadays it's kind of different with how social media works, and what you see and what is portrayed it really rubs off on people, and on young black people in particular. It really does rub off on people. And unfortunately, in some cases, negatively. If you've got, our minds are sponges, right? So especially when you're young, early 20s, early 30s, you soak in these things and they're not always particularly good for you. Do you know what I mean? There's very good things on social media and on internet in general, but there's also a lot of stuff that is just like, this isn't going to do anything for you. Do you know what I mean? Like, there needs to be more things that do talk about, family values, finances, looking after people, being kind to people, being good to people, and that kind of thing. But I think a lot of it now is kind of centered around the sensationalist kind of things of, look at this. That doesn't really mean anything the next day, but it's that little bit of entertainment for you in that moment. So I think there's a lot of focus on that at the moment.
And do you feel like we can get connected together again in the UK?
Yeah, 100%.
What do you think is needed?
I mean, I think, listen, with everything that's happened like over the past year with the pandemic and stuff like that, there were certain things that came out of it that, even though they were bad, I think it shed a light on black people as a whole. So I'm specifically talking about the George Floyd situation in America, and then the offshoot of that of things like Black Pound Day and supporting black businesses and all that kind of stuff. I think it's always been a thing that, unfortunately, black people don't support each other enough. And I don't think I'm saying anything particularly sensationalist or something that people don't already know. I feel like there's definitely, within other communities, they support each other. Do you know what I mean? And they do that a lot. But with us, it's more like I'm going to look at the next man and be like, nah, forget about him, man. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to support him. Do you know what I mean? Because it's all about me. It's all about me. Everything is insular. And there's not enough of that supporting, amongst our own people. And we can all attest to probably not supporting as much as we can. So I'm not putting myself out of that. I'm included in that. So it's one of those things where to me, that rhetoric needs to be pushed a lot more. Because it's been so ingrained for so many years, I think it's going to take a while. So I don't think it's impossible, but to me, it's going to take time, because these things are generational, and our kids and our kids' kids and our kids' kids, it's going to be them that is going to reap the rewards of what we're trying to do now. But we have to start it, and we have to start that conversation. And I think it has been started, but there's more that we need to do. The awareness of certain things and certain racial things need to be, perpetuated more in the black community, which I don't think is super strong at the moment.
Yeah, man. Because, like you said, you're not really saying anything new, and so it's just about the solutions, really, isn't it? Because we can talk about it for however long we want, but it's about how we're actually going to get there. But
exactly, and that's the thing. Conversations can happen. I see so many different platforms talking about the issues and all of that kind of stuff, and that's cool. But talking only gets you but so far. Unless there's going to be actual action, and as I said, I'm not going to claim to know exactly what that action should be. And that's what the conversations are for. The conversations are there so that we can try and formulate that action, but it has to involve everyone, but as I said, it comes back again to mindset again. Everyone has to be on that same page of having that same mindset to want to achieve that same goal. But unfortunately, that's not the case for everyone. Everyone has their own, everything is about, I need to get the bag, which is true, don't get me wrong, because we definitely do. That's super important. But get the bag and give back as well, and bring in your own people as well is also important, because other communities do it, and they have been doing it for the longest time.
That's true, man. I was going to say, can you name one suggestion that you could give?
Can I name one suggestion? As I said, I think the whole, sort of spending money in the black businesses, again, it's not a new suggestion, but I think it's a good start. But the thing that I sort of hear from like friends or social media is that the problem is that when you're spending within your community, usually there's a tax that you're paying on top of that. So what I mean that is that same product that you can get from non-black owned businesses is going to be cheaper. Sorry about that. That's the ice cream.
Nice background music, man.
So there's that thing of if you go and get it from a non-black company, you're gonna end up paying less for it, and you're gonna end up paying more, if you go within your own community. So I hear that a lot insofar as, but if I spend money on my man shop over there, he's ripping me off and all of this kind of stuff, and that's not. That narrative gets pushed quite a lot. So I appreciate that. Sometimes the products are going to be more expensive, but usually there's a reason for it, because they might be having to pay a premium on their end, wholesale, for getting those ingredients or that product or whatever. So it has to be filtered down to the customer and stuff like that. So I think those kind of things just make it difficult. So I want to sort of get to a point where, you know, we can get the prices similar for those similar kind of, you know, products, so that black people feel that they can spend money within the community and not feel like they're getting ripped off and all of that kind of stuff. Because I think that's what the feeling is for certain people. And as I said, there's more of a crab in a barrel sort of mentality when it comes to the black community anyway, which is just, it's so different from other communities. So again, it's just a mindset thing that we need to try and get out of that, and that probably just comes from just educating yourself, man. Just reading certain things, reading certain books, and listening to certain people, and just having a different outlook on life and how you treat others and stuff.
Nah, you're the sensei, man. You're the sensei. I'm not trying to be like you still. So
Trying, man.
Like, the mindset's key, man. But final words of encouragement for your people, man. Like, you're an inspirational guy. I'm sure we're all motivated. So yeah, what's your final words?
I think what I would say is just carry on trying to improve yourself and your mindset all the time, and just know that at whatever point that you're at, you could be 21, you could be 41, you can always learn something. And also, to every problem, there's always a solution. That's the thing that I want to leave with people, because I think there's too much of a thing of like something coming to an issue and you go, oh, I don't know what to do. And I get that, but just know and always have it in your mind that there's always going to be a solution to that problem. Whatever that problem is, 100% there's a solution to it. Might not be a solution you particularly like or whatever, but there's a way that you can get around sorting it out. That can be from bereavement to, you know, having children, or do you know what I mean, wondering if you want to marry this guy. All of these kind of things, there's things that you can do to fix that problem. So as long as you always keep that mindset and always think to yourself, I can always learn something at any stage of my life, then to me you'll be good.